Counting down, counting down. Cheryl, no more countdown because we are here. How's it going, everyone? Debbie, hello. Justice for Summer, yes. Lene, hello. I was just scrolling and bam, look who's going live. It is me. Thank you for being here, Lene. Joyce in the house. Nella in the house. Bug Love in the house, maybe with a little bit of dessert all of a sudden out of nowhere. Sasha, how's it going? Good to see you. Curious Cat. Hello. We did enjoy our weekends. Hopefully everyone had a great weekend. Happy Monday. Thank you for that comment, Curious Cat. I hope you had a good weekend as well. Cheryl, Nella, Rainy Day Lady. I would check all around Don's work site and everyone. Yeah. I hate to see it end this way. Yeah, the work site. I know that was a topic of conversation a couple months ago, right before Don went to jail. Moonlight, how's it going? Cheryl, Bug Love, of course. Sasha, I think we've talked. Okay, Kat, hello. ISO Blue, Sally Sleuth, Joy Smith, Angela. Whoever Electro is, hello. Claire, Nancy, Tooth Fairy, Beloved, Barbara, Moon Goddess, good to see you all. Thanks for being here. Bird Brain, hello. Chris, hello. Defunct Toad finally made it. Good evening. You did make it. Definitely hit that like button on the way into the stream, everyone. It helps get the stream out there to more people that have subscribed to the channel and people that are just in the YouTube algorithm who may enjoy this video but wouldn't otherwise see it unless YouTube suggested it. So that like button does a lot. Ty, how's it going? And chat friends, hope everyone had a nice Easter/holiday. Yeah, hopefully you guys all had a great Easter weekend. Whatever, if you celebrate or not, hopefully you just had a good weekend in general. Hopefully you got to spend time with loved ones. Carolyn, how's it going? What juicy details will we hear today? I don't know about juicy details. Juicy Jules says hi from Colorado. But no juicy. Well, I mean, it's kind of juicy, but I want to go back. I want to go back in time. I think we're at this point now where we're, 300 and how many days? 6 days. I think I put it in the title. She's been missing. Summer Wells has been missing for 306 days. Okay. And I think what I talked about in my last stream is that it seems that her name has kind of been, or that Summer in a way has been forgotten at this point. We're like 10 months in, and the drama surrounding this case, both from the family and certain creators that talk about this case, it just seems like there's just too much drama around it, and Summer's name has kind of been forgotten in all of this. And so I want to go back to the beginning and go through when I think the script was created. The script that either Don or CANDUS, I think Don specifically, but CANDUS potentially as well, decided to run with. And we're going to go all the way back to the day that Summer went missing, and we're going to go through a couple of interviews, and we're going to go through a couple of the interviews that followed in the weeks following. And we'll get to really paint that picture and see just how the script was created. This, what I believe is a lie. And once again, it's all opinions. But yeah, there's just a lot going on. Also, there's a whole nother stream going on right now with like 3,000 people in it. And someone reached out to me and said that Rose, Candace's sister, is like alive and is found. And it's like, that's another version of that. Is like, how true is this, right? The stream is right. I don't know if I want to even show it, but it's like, is this just people fabricating stories to create buzz around this story and to get people to watch their stream or whatever? Because it also is oddly quiet right now in terms of CANDUS. I know CANDUS was talking to, she's obviously talked to Benny here and there, but as well as Ernie. But other than that, it's been relatively quiet. So let me say hey to everyone as they're coming in. I'm going to go ahead and shout out to the level 2 supporters. We do the shout out for the level 2s at the beginning and the end of the stream now. So thank you guys for supporting the channel. Shout out to you all. Shade Lady, how's it going? Alicia in the chat. Alexa in the chat as well. Thank you to the mods. Good to see you all in here. Mallory, how's it going? Tina, chaos going on over about Rose Bly being found. Yeah. I don't know if it's true or not. I have no idea. But apparently Rose has been found. I have no idea. Shade Lady, it was me. Wait, it was you that sent me the tweet? Who was it that sent it to me? I don't know who sent it to me, but yeah, someone definitely tweeted me. Oh, they DM'd it. Oh, Shayla. Yeah, that might be you, Shade Lady. Very nice, very nice. Also, Alex with her mug. Very cool. Good to see you, Alex, with the mug. Cheers. Anyway, sorry, I'm off track. Let's get going. Let's just say hey to the people coming in. I like to, like I said, stream for a few minutes before diving in, because we got to give some people a chance to get in here. Amy says it's BS. Yeah, okay, so that's another... Oh, we've got Ernie, I think, in there right now. He just hopped in. And it's like, this is what I'm talking about, is like, I don't know, first of all, if it's BS or not, but it's like, that's what's the problem with this case, is anyone right now in that chat talking about Summer Wells? Like, this is them right now. This is them going. Are any of them talking about how long Summer Wells has been missing? Are they talking about anything that's actually going... I mean, not to say that everything we talk about here is going to help the case, but it's just like so messy, all of this. There's just too much... There's too much going on, and a lot of it's not accurate or helping in any way. So, anyways, good to see everyone in here. True Crime with Shannon. Hi, Aaron. Hello. Amelia. Hello. Lisa. Karen. Hi from Nashville. Hello. Hello from England. Hello, Mama Bear. Lisa. Coffee Buzz. Hey. Tina. Good to see you all. Let's get this going. Let's just start with the first thing I want to start with, which is the video from WJHL from June 15th, 2021. Okay, now the first thing you need to know when looking at this video, it may be hard to see right away, but this is how early on the reporting was. They had missed the age of Summer Wells. They had listed her as a 4-year-old instead of a 5-year-old. This video is titled "Search Underway for 4-Year-Old Missing 4-Year-Old Girl in Hawkins County." Let's quickly play this video, and then we'll get into kind of the meat of what we're going to talk about.
The latest now, Hawkins County Sheriff Ronnie Lawson said tonight crews are searching for 4-year-old Summer Wells. Here's a photo of Summer released from authorities tonight. She's described as being 4 foot tall with blonde hair. We've learned she was last seen around 7 o'clock tonight. Again, you're looking at a couple of images of Summer that were shared by local authorities who tonight are involved in that search.
Yeah, again, the search is underway. This is in the Beach Creek community in the area of Ben Hill Road and Beach Creek Road. This is in Hawkins County. Tonight, crews are searching on the ground. Helicopters are scanning overhead. We are told that police have blocked off roadways in that area in order for them to do a comprehensive search.
That's right. Earlier tonight, around 7 o'clock, Hawkins County Sheriff Ronnie Lawson says this 4-year-old little girl named Summer Wells, and maybe we can show you the photo of her again here in just a moment, that she was last seen walking away from her home on Ben Hill Road. And that was the last she was seen. And now we know that a massive search is underway, not only a search on the ground, with authorities from Hawkins County, a rescue squad and personnel, local volunteer fire departments, but also THP, we hear, is in the air tonight looking for the little girl in that area. Big search underway.
Yeah, she really needs to be found, obviously. She was last seen wearing a pink shirt and gray shorts, and we were told that she was seen walking from her home on that road.
Bianca Murray tonight is in Hawkins County with the latest on the search.
Tonight, emergency crews from around Hawkins County have converged on this rural community near Church Hill. They're looking for 4-year-old Summer Wells. Sheriff Ronnie Lawson said she was last seen walking from her home on Ben Hill Road off Beach Creek Road, not far from here, around 7 tonight. She was last seen wearing a pink shirt and grey shorts. Earlier tonight, I saw a deputy searching vehicles off Beach Creek Road. Hawkins County deputies and first responders are searching on the ground. THP and medical helicopters are in the air. We're told a command post has been established, and we're at a Baptist church on Beach Creek Road, where we're told information will be released as soon as it's available. Reporting for News Channel.
Okay, so this is Bianca, and she was one of the first people kind of on the scene that was reporting on this case. I know that if you guys have followed this case for a while, Ansley Daniels is one of the kind of primary, here she is here, one of the primary reporters from WJHL who has kind of been reporting on the case since then. She has appeared in a lot of the interviews, but this Bianca reporter was there the night that it all happened. Okay, so even her first tweet from June 16th was talking about being 5 years old and not 4, as previously reported. She was tweeting, at 1 in.the.morning on June 16th, which is wild. But she says investigators say at least 3 other children were present in Summer Wells's home when she reportedly walked out of the back door. The sheriff tells me. So this is the part that's confusing. And I see True Crime with Shannon said never heard of her seeing her walking. Yeah. Wait, what? She didn't walk away from her home. She was in the basement. Blonde Bunny. Yes, you guys are catching on. I mean, this is why I wanted to go back, and a couple other YouTube channels have done this. Going back to the beginning, right? We're 10 months removed, over 10 months now. The 15th was the 10-month mark for how long Summer has been missing. And like I said, there's so much noise around this case. There's so much drama and people trying to like step on each other's toes and get interviews with family members. Or like I said, I don't know what's going on with Rose Summers or Candace's sister apparently being alive and well. But if I'm being completely honest, I don't believe it. And I'll look into it. This just was sent to me very recently. I don't believe that. I think it's probably just muddying up the waters and adding to the circus that Sasha's talking about. It is a circus. Yeah, Alicia, this case has been completely bungled by conflicting statements and info. Yeah, I think it's constantly being, certain things are being added. And I think it's because there's not a lot going on with this case right now. Like I said, I know Candace has kind of gone off the rails and spoken to different people here and there in some recent days, some recent weeks, but ultimately it's kind of been quiet. And so I think a good thing to do in that, with this time is to go back and just look at everything as it played out. Because I think what we'll find is that Dawn and Candace, or at least one of them, once again, just my opinion, but there were lies almost from the get-go. So let's continue. And what's interesting is even the TBI, if we scroll all the way up to their first tweet on June 16th, it says, "We need your help to find 4-year-old Summer Moon Utah Wells missing from Rogersville." And it's like, when Summer was reported missing, when the cops were called, who told them she was 4? Like, I know that could have been a slip up on many people's, it could have been many different parties that accidentally passed along the information. True Crime with Shannon. Aaron, please share that info on Rose because I could barely find much when I did my video months ago. I'll share in a little bit the channel that is talking about that, but I'm just going to keep kind of streaming right now. I'll definitely jump over to that in a moment. But very quickly, if we go to the TBI's tweet from 2:13 on June 16th, they basically tweet that they will hold a short media briefing at 4 p.m. To provide an update on the search for Summer. Location at Solomon's Temple Missionary Baptist Church, which is right here on Lone Star Road, just to the northeast of the Wells property. I think it's kind of interesting. Well, not like weird or anything, but they did a lot of press stuff here at this church, and then they also did a lot of press and setup at the Mount Carmel Free Will Baptist Church. Chris Davis says, I think the confusion is from people dropping words or shortening statements, making them completely different. That's a good point as well, Chris. And we're going to go into that today, using past tense, things like that. I think that there's a few things that, a lot of people gave them crap for in the beginning that doesn't necessarily point to them being like guilty by any means, but it wasn't a great look. And so I think we need to take a lot of what they say in the early stages with a grain of salt, minus big things like what we're going to get into now. So let's quickly listen to this video here. This is that update. But yeah, so apparently Sheriff Ronnie Lawson was told that Summer was seen walking down Ben Hill Road or down the street or outside the home. All right.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Leslie Earhart, a public information officer with the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. Thank you for being here and continuing to cover the search for 5-year-old Summer Wells. Unfortunately, we don't have any significant updates to provide as Summer is still missing. But we did want to share the latest on the investigation and the ongoing search. As you know, she's now the subject of a statewide Amber Alert. She was last seen outside of her home in the 100 block of Ben Hill Road, which is located in the Beach Creek community of Hawkins County. A family member reported her missing to the Hawkins County Sheriff's Office at approximately 6:30 Tuesday evening. At the time she went missing, Summer was reportedly wearing a gray pants and a pink shirt. She is believed to be barefoot.
So I'm going to do a bit of pausing here and there because, like I said, we're going through just a couple of things from the beginning of this case, the case. And if we went through it all without pausing and kind of breaking things down, it would just be me playing these videos. And I think it's interesting, the gray pants, pink shirt situation. Okay. If we go to the actual video of Summer in the back seat, which is reportedly like where she was just a few hours prior to going missing. I don't know what color those pants look like to you guys, or if that looks like a shirt, but to me, those look like black pants and a pink and gray hoodie or sweatshirt. So shirt and hoodie, I could see as like they could have been saying she was wearing a pink shirt and it could have been a long sleeve shirt or this hoodie. But the gray pants, that's incorrect. And once again, it's not the biggest hiccup in the world, but you're talking about a kid missing for less than 24 hours, and we've got the age being displayed wrong initially, and then potentially what she was wearing. Also, the Outlaw, thank you so much. The Outlaw 24, thanks for becoming a level 1 supporter. Really appreciate that. Everyone, thanks for being here. We have over 400 people here on this Monday evening. Definitely hit that like button or tap the like button with your finger. It is free, and it really helps out the channel. Thanks so much. But anyways, back to this this press conference, this press release.
We do want to encourage the public, especially residents living in the area of Ben Hill Road, to check any trail cameras or security cameras that they might have that could have captured Summer on video or in photographs. We also encourage residents to check any crawl spaces, outbuildings, or sheds that would make for good hiding places. As we mentioned, the search is ongoing. There are a number of agencies involved, I'm going to turn it over to Sheriff Ronnie Lawson to talk more about the search and the conditions that authorities are up against. Sheriff.
Thank you. It's been a very intense 21 hours of a lot of searching, a lot of investigation by 19 different agencies. Last night, we had approximately 60 to 80 people searching in the woods, with a number of law enforcement officers doing the investigation also. Today, we've had over 100 people in the woods searching throughout the whole region. We also have agents with the TBI and the FBI assisting my office. We jointly investigating this whole circumstance. Our main goal is to find Summer and find her safe. We have plenty of help. We don't need any assistance from the local people. We have the professional people out searching, and we just appreciate everybody, their contributions. It's been a tremendous outpour from the community with the water, the food, and the snacks. It's just overwhelming, and it's a very intense investigation. I know the public needs to know things, but it's ongoing, and we will release things as we can when we can.
Okay, so my biggest thing with the idea that Summer walked away, or someone saw Summer walking away from her home, is that this was, Ansley Daniels had tweeted this, and if I can, let me pull her tweet up. Basically, or this is a DM. This is a DM from someone who reached out to Ansley Daniels, and they basically said, quick question, in your report and your reporting and early interviews with CANDUS Wells, you then and recently said the mother said she walked away from the house. Did CANDUS say that, or is this just wording? So this is the whole walking away from the house bit. And Ansley Daniels responded to this person, and you can actually see her profile picture right down here. It says, that was what law enforcement told us. Thank you. So law enforcement, basically the day this all happened, told the reporters, the media that was initially covering this on the scene, that Summer had walked away. My problem with that is that somebody had to tell law enforcement that, right? Law enforcement wasn't there when Summer went missing, so they didn't know, oh, she walked away from the house. Someone saw her walking away from the house. Somebody had to tell law enforcement that story initially, right? It wasn't a story about planting flowers and about Summer going down into the basement and playing with her toys. That had not come up. And that's my biggest problem with all of this, is that that's a big part of the story. If Summer had been in the basement playing with her toys, and then maybe she snuck out that side back door, and then someone had, like what Candace and Don said kind of early on, is that someone had stolen her, taken her. If that was part of this initial narrative, they would have focused so much more on the house and the basement where she supposedly went to go play. And so how on earth does this script about Summer going to the basement play with her toys come in? It doesn't yet. But it comes into play very shortly after. Let me read a few your guys' comments. Thank you guys for hitting that like button. We have over 200 likes, almost 500 people in here. Thank you guys so much. Angela says, I saw a list earlier from 2006, I think, showing drug busts with cocaine and other drugs in that county, and the last name Lawson was on there a few times, quite a few of them. Interesting. Shirley says, came from boys. Oldest boy said she was walking down driveway. Okay, so Shirley, this is another thing that I just have to say, is that still doesn't fit with her going downstairs, right? And so the boys, and we've talked about this, the boys absolutely are the key to this thing in terms of throwing a wrench in Candace's and Dawn's story, because no one's there to tell the boys what they can and can't say. And so if the boys could really say what happened, then that would clear a lot of things up. The outlaw says, yeah, still think the boys know more about what happened. Oh, 100%. I as well think that. But let's quickly listen to, now this is from June 25th. This came out. It is the actual scanner traffic from the night that Summer Wells went missing. And we've gone through some of this, in other streams, but I want to go through this now because it's revealing. And then we'll get to when CANDUS and Don, or one or the other, decided to make this story about the flowers.
Listen.
Being around from 110, 110 Ben Hill Road off of Beach Creek should be the first residence on your right. Reference to a missing 4-year-old. The parents have called in and advised that the mother had went for a walk, came home, now they can't find her. They've been yelling for her. She's been
Okay, let me just play that all the way through.
off for about 10 minutes now.
Okay, let me play that one more time.
Being around from 110, 110 Ben Hill Road off of Beach Creek should be the first residence on your right. Reference to a missing 4-year-old. The parents have called in and advised that the mother had went for a walk, came home, now they can't find her. They've been yelling for her. She's been gone for about 10 minutes now.
4-year-old. Okay, so that's another moment where it's like, I get if you're a parent and you have a missing child and you call them in missing, you may mess up their age when they ask, how old is she? How old are they? Whatever. Summer hadn't just turned 4. She turned 4 in, I think it was February? And so, or March, February? And this is now June. So she had been 5 for several months at this point. So once again, I think it's strange. But one thing in there, and it's sitting right in front of us, that is just not in any of the stories early on, is that the mother had went for a walk, came home, and now they can't find her. Let's just listen to what CANDUS said in her first public interview on June 28th, okay? Because we know that CANDUS didn't talk to the media in the early stages, okay? So where I'm getting at with all of this is that Dawn or the boys were possibly the only ones relaying, and maybe Grandma were the only ones relaying information day one to the police, because apparently CANDUS wasn't speaking. So if the boys said that they saw Summer wandering down the driveway or outside the house, that's one thing, right? You would think the person that was with Summer all day, or one of the people, CANDUS, would have told the police about them planting flowers and apparently about this supposed walk. Who called I thought CANDUS called the cops. What's with this going on a walk thing? Now, once again, here it says the parents called and advised that the mother had went for a walk. Let's listen to what CANDUS says about walking in that area.
I don't go on walks around here or runs because I'm scared of the bears and snakes and even the coyotes that are around here.
Now, that may have only been coming through your left headphone if you have headphones on right now. If you have certain speakers that's only going through the right, you may not have heard anything at all, because that's just how these, news clips sometimes come out on one side or the versus both. But let me play this one more time.
I don't go on walks around here or runs because I'm scared of the bears and
I don't go on walks around here or runs because I'm scared of the bears, snakes,
and even the coyotes.
Coyotes. So, once again, it's all lies. Well, I'll be honest. I believe her that she doesn't go on walks or runs, especially runs. But it, like Friday says, contradicts everything. Ashley thought my headphones were messing up. Yeah. No, that's just, that's WJHL's video here. But yeah, anyways, this is what I'm talking about, is like, and I see some people's comments saying like, that this is so messy and like that their heads are feeling like they're going to explode with this case. This is the first 2 weeks of this case that we're talking about right now, week and a half. We're talking about Summer's age being reported wrong. The story initially being that she was seen walking outside the house. And then, like I said, CANDUS not saying the story of how they planted flowers. So it's like, where did this flower story come from, right? We're going to get to that in a second. Let's watch a little bit of this update from June 18th. So we're kind of going back and forth here. We're going to go back to that interview with CANDUS and Dawn from the first time that CANDUS talked to the media from June 28th. This video came out on WJHL on June 29th. But let's go back a little bit to the second update that law enforcement and the teams that were searching for Summer in the early months or the early days. Let's go back to this second update here real quick.
Good afternoon. I'm Leslie Earhart with the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. We can't thank you enough for your continuing coverage and helping us get the word out about Summer. Before I turn it over to Captain Coop, I want to reiterate that there are two aspects of this investigation: the search and the investigation itself. You've heard a lot about the search because that's something we can elaborate on. What you haven't heard a lot about is what's happening outside of the search. Rest assured that agents and Hawkins County detectives are investigating this fully. All avenues are being explored. As of this afternoon, we've received approximately 85 tips.
Okay, that's the first part I want to pause at. 85 tips in 2 days or in a day and a half. Okay, since then, I think they said that they've received over 2,000 tips. This was back in actually February. Now, I want to know the difference between tips and leads, right? I've always thought, like, what's the difference? And I'm sure I could look this up if there is an actual difference. But an actual lead, I feel like, is something that I don't know, I guess they follow up on the tips as well. But even 2,000 tips in February, if it were to just stay at 2,000 up until now, and we're 300 days into this, what would that be? Like 6.5 tips a day? So that means if someone's working 8 hours a day on this, they're getting on average close to a tip every hour and a half. Like, to me, there's not enough YouTube sleuths in the world that could go through that many tips, let alone 1 to 2 or even 3 large agencies that are also dealing with other things in these communities, not just Summer Wells. They're dealing with other crimes, other things that are going on. So it's like True Crime with Shannon. Thank you. Yeah, 2,000 in February. There are 2,000 tips in February. Divide that now, into the 306 days. That's like 6.5 tips. And I'm sure they've gotten more tips since February, right? So it's just like, I don't know. I think this case is like, I have hope that it's going to get solved, but it's also one of those things where everything's so hectic right now. And I definitely don't want to add to any of the confusion. So that's where it's like, I like to start the streams by saying, I'm not adding any new information. We're just talking, we're going back, right? I think one thing I want to do in the coming weeks or months, at least prior to the 1 year mark, I did ask you all, will this case be solved before June 15th, 2022? The majority of you are saying no. If that's the case, and this case still hasn't been solved by June of 2022, I think I might do one of those comprehensive timelines and try to make the most comprehensive visual timeline that both goes through the maps and also going there in person. Because like I said, I don't want to just make stuff and put out stuff that's not real. Once again, I don't know about this Rose situation. But I think the one thing we can keep doing as creators when talking about these cases are continuing to keep the light at least shining on the case and talking about the things that we can react to, which are old interviews, things like that. Cosmic Dreamer says, we have no idea what anyone said to law enforcement, only facts are what law enforcement has publicly said. Yeah, exactly. So let's move on to June 18th. Okay, so June 18th is the day that Dawn created the story that Summer, or at the very least, that Dawn publicly announced this story that Summer Wells went to the garden with Grandma and Candace and planted flowers or repotted cactus. We know now that they were repotting cactus. They're talking about flowers. I don't believe any of that happened, and I'll be very surprised at the end of all this if it actually did happen. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that never happened at all. But I could be surprised at the end of all this. We'll just have to see. But yeah, June 18th. Let's listen to this audio from Dawn Wells.
Her and her mother and Summer were planting flowers by her grandma's trailer, which is about, 20 feet from the house there, real close to the house. Summer all of a sudden said, "Mom, I want to go in the house." So she said, "Fine." And her brothers were in there watching YouTube. And so she watched her walk in the door and went in there. And then she went in there and her brother said that she was going to go downstairs and play with toys. So she went downstairs and then Mom come in and says, "Where's Summer?" Well, she's downstairs playing with her toys. And they hollered for her and there was no answer. So she went down the stairs and she was nowhere to be found. She went out the basement door. The door was unlocked. But she's never left there. She might be on the other side of the house. Because I went out there before and called for her. She come out from behind the house because she just has to be outside. She's an outside type of person,
She has to be outside. She's an outside type of person. Okay. Here's why Summer Wells had to be downstairs playing with her toys. It's because in order for it to work as an abduction, or for the wandering off theory, if that's what they wanted to go with, Summer couldn't have just gone in to play with the boys in the kitchen and then wandered off through the front door or the door that is near Grandma's camper, because Candace was still outside helping Grandma with, her knee brace or whatever. Or, she said she walked Summer over to the house and then went back to Grandma's, helped her out for a second, and then said, "Hey, Mom, I'm going to go back and, hang out with Summer, or go back home to the place." So Summer needed to be down in the basement. This story needed for her to go downstairs to play by herself, because had she wandered off through the front door, Candace probably would have seen her, or the boys would have seen her. And so this story of her going inside to play downstairs is the only reason and the only way that a story of her wandering out the back door or the side basement door could have worked. Summer would have been seen. I don't think she went downstairs to play at all. I think that is all. That's just the story that they created to make sure it put her in that part of the house. Chris says, "Aaron, if the boys were watching TV, they could not see Summer go out the basement door." That's a good point. So none of it lines up. Emily Flotilla says she wandered off frequently. Dawn said several times they had to go get the boys to bring her in. Yeah, we're going to get to that in a moment. There's another slip up in Dawn's interview, or in what he says in an interview with him and Candace. But this is where it was, that was from June 18th. Okay. And with Summer going missing on June 15th, where's that comprehensive story about Candace and Summer and Grandma planting flowers on the day that she went missing? Why wasn't Sheriff Ronnie Lawson telling the media, telling Bianca from WJHL? This tweet would have looked a lot different if it said investigators say that Summer was planting flowers with her grandma and her mother when she went back into the home to play, and she mysteriously disappeared out the side door. Dawn and Candace, parents of Summer Wells, think that she was abducted or lured away from the home. But no, this is 1 a.m. She was the main, media personnel there reporting with Lawson. And so this walked out the back door theory, which Chris just said, the boys wouldn't have necessarily seen if they were just watching TV. It doesn't hold up. I think that the boys were told to say that, or Dawn being the only person who was talking to the media the night that she went missing, because reportedly CANDUS wasn't speaking to them, which once again, massive red flag. If you're one of the 3 people that were with Summer that day, and one of the 2 main people being her and Grandma, if you're not talking, very strange. She may have said something though, because I feel like the police had said that the family was being cooperative. I don't know if they were lumping all of them in at that point. But yeah, I don't know. Where were the boys when they went swimming earlier that day? The boys apparently were back at the house, Outlaw, just hanging out, which I've talked about this 100 times. If they were back at the house and CANDUS got a call about a creepy guy at the house, which reportedly happened, they would have probably rushed back to make sure that the boys were okay, when instead they went to Sonic to get a slushie and to go get some milk. Polina says, Aaron, I think if Rose were found, the media would explode unless she's been found and feds keep her in a witness program. I don't think it's true. Yeah, I mean, unless it's just absolutely breaking news that Rose is found, and it just hasn't broken on the mainstream media, I'm not buying that story as of right now. Okay, so let's listen to Don as well on June 18th. This is a different interview, but we just heard him say the whole script that we all know, that Grandma eventually actually threw a wrench in that script just recently, right? 1.5 months, 2 months ago, she mentioned the whole nap that happened. I mean, no one had this story straight from the get-go, and no one was filled in properly on the law enforcement's end through all this. But let's listen to this other interview with Don and one of the sons, which it's like, why would he want to? I don't know. He doesn't. I feel like Don was like, come stand with me for this interview.
The father of a missing Hawkins County 5-year-old says his daughter would never leave the yard alone. For the first time tonight, we are hearing from the father of Summer Wells. Search teams have covered almost 1,000 acres looking for that little girl. She has been missing since Tuesday evening. 10 News reporter Cole Sullivan has the plea from the family and the latest on the investigation.
It's been rough, but we know, we believe in the resurrection.
Donald Wells said.
Let me pause.
We believe in the.
Let me pause and let me move my little face out of the way here. But we believe in the resurrection. This is 2 whole days. Wait, no. 3 whole days after Summer went missing. And he's already talking about her as if she is no longer with us, or with them, right? And what we see out of Don 2 to 3 months from now is talking about Summer as if someone could have her. It's like he flips. He's talking about her like someone maybe had taken her. And then here, 2 days later, he's talking about her as if she's no longer there. It's like, it's bizarre. This is super bizarre.
Resurrection.
Donald Wells says Summer was planting flowers in the yard with her mom and grandmother when she went into the basement of their Rogersville house to play with toys. They haven't seen her since.
See, this is when the media and everyone all of a sudden had this story of going inside, them going inside and playing with toys.
So she went down there and she was gone. So she went out the basement door, which was unlocked.
He says she would not leave the property alone, and he and his wife can't imagine what happened.
We try to warn our kids about all these things all the time.
Meanwhile, the search efforts continue to grow.
We have a total of 41 agencies involved in being represented in the search for Summer Wells.
Friday, dive teams joined in the hunt with the goal of fully searching 1.5 miles of rough terrain surrounding the family home.
We want to get in there, flip every rock, check every crevice, check every spot.
They're not just searching for Summer, they're trying to find out what happened.
Rest assured, the agents and Hawkins County detectives are investigating this fully. All avenues are being explored.
The sheriff says detectives have conducted searches, but so far all have been voluntary. No warrants required.
Everybody in the community is wanting to find Summer.
The TBI says her parents are cooperating at this time. Her father says he just wants her home.
Just want to thank everybody for your outpouring of love. That's all.
Reporting from Knoxville, I'm Cole Sullivan.
Did they say the exact amount of acreage? I'm going to close this poll, by the way. Thanks for voting, everyone. Did they say the amount of acreage they had covered yet? I think maybe not in this video. I want to say just a couple days in, they had talked about covering maybe 700 acres shortly in the beginning of the stream or the search. I looked at the map of this area. I mean, if we look at the actual area, Rogersville, or of 110 Ben Hill Road, we can see, let me make myself a little bigger here. This is their house, right? And we know that a lot of the searches, the actual search teams were outside of this Mount Carmel Free Will Baptist Church. And so I think it was just because it was a good, solid lot size to put all of their search vehicles, things like that. And so it's safe to say that they probably searched all the way up this road to the wells. And then, of course, their street is Ben Hill Road, right? So they probably made sure to search not only their whole property, but all the way down Ben Hill Road, basically to where it ends, which I know it shows that it ends on the map right here, but it looks to keep going. You can see tire marks that keep going. So it's like, I don't know where they would have stopped. But I went ahead and looked at the actual acreage and I mapped out this space, right? So if this is the Wells property right here, where my mouse is at, if they searched, their entire property and then along Ben Hill Road and then some of the houses along Ben Hill Road, they would search, into the edges of Ben Hill Road all the way down to the end of where Ben Hill Road is at on the map. And then basically all the way over, there was rumblings of them being on Bell Road or CANDUS being on Bell Road at some point. Dove says they just said 1,000 acres were searched at that point. Thank you, Dove. I couldn't remember if it was 700 or 1,000. But basically, Bell Road all the way around to the Mount Carmel Free Will Baptist Church would be right here. And then I had them basically checking around every road to the north and like a little off the road, towards the houses, all the way down back towards their house. And then, of course, into that cemetery area. This specific area is 625 acres. So it's safe to assume that in the first few days, they searched at least an area this size. I don't know if it's shifted more up towards the northeast or, if it's less of this and more just towards the road. It could have been a more confined search along the road, but over a longer distance, if that makes sense. But this is where it kind of gets interesting. And one thing I want to point out here is somebody tweeted this, and they tweeted, "Candace makes crazy eyes when she lies." And I thought, that's kind of interesting. Let's go see where they're talking about, because she does make these kind of faces. And it's like, let's see what she's saying when she kind of makes each of these faces. So before we go into this interview here, which is her first public appearance after Summer went missing, I want to go into a separate video where she makes those eyes. Okay. And let's see what she's talking about when she makes those eyes. Also, thank you guys. There's 713 people in here right now. and 328 likes. So if you could hit that like button, that would be fantastic. Also, I might as well remind you guys, we're at 23,155 subscribers. If you're enjoying this video at all, if you're enjoying this content at all, or if you'd like to be updated of when I go live or post in the future, hit that subscribe button. Let's see if we can get, I mean, if everyone here hit the subscribe button, we could get close to 24,000 by the end of the stream. So maybe we could hit that by the end of the stream. Let's see if we can, we'll come back and check on that. Let's see what CANDUS is saying when she makes these eyes here in this interview with the interview room, or Chris from the interview room.
He said that he asked you for the tea and that you gave him a tea.
He didn't ask me for nothing.
Okay,
He asked me for a Mountain Dew.
Okay.
I got him a Mountain Dew.
Okay,
So there's the eyes. And this is when CANDUS is talking about Hunter and the twisted tea. Now, if you guys aren't familiar with this story, by the way, I know I'm jumping around and talking about we're going on different tangents here, right? Because I'm assuming a lot of the people that are watching are familiar enough with it to know kind of what we're talking about. I have a Summer Wells playlist on my page. So if you want to go to that and look at some of our older videos, feel free to do so. But I'm going to keep talking about it as if you kind of are aware of what we're talking about here. But there's always been some lies around the tea, right? Because I believe that Hunter was given this twisted tea by CANDUS, and she's saying she gave him a Mountain Dew. And then here she is with her eyes wide open. I think that I don't know if there's a correlation with every single time she makes this face to lying, if she's lying every single time. But I think she's lying about the Mountain Dew. I think she's lying about the twisted tea. And let's keep listening. Angela Bloom, thank you so much for the super sticker. Angela, you're amazing. Thank you so much. You always come in with all the support. And I appreciate you sending me all of the tweets about the case when I am not live, because it gives me things to look into. I looked more into that, the Skulls videos of him just driving around. I was checking out a few more of his videos. They're very long videos, but it's good to go through that. So thank you, Angela, and thank you for that super sticker. Really appreciate it. Let's listen in a little bit more and see if she makes those eyes again. Twisted CANDUS.
Where did the orange crush come from on the seat with Summer?
That was my mom's. She was drinking that and then didn't want no more of it.
And what about the candy on the sheet?
That candy's been in there.
Okay,
so she didn't make a face there. Chris asks, what about the orange crush? Cheryl says, it's just her face. I mean, I don't know. We got to analyze this a little bit. This is the important stuff we do here. He asks about the orange crush that's behind Summer on the seat. And she says that was her mom's, right? The orange crush that she's referring to is the one next to Summer. And then he's asking her about the candy, which is right next to her there. You can see. And she didn't make any face of any sort during those questions. So I think she's probably telling the truth.
And what about the pillow?
The pillow? What pillow?
Oh, she's sitting on a pillow.
Mom gets mad because if the kids get in their wet bathing suit and stuff, so I just put the pillow underneath her so Mom wasn't complaining.
Got it. Okay.
Let me play that little bit there again.
Mom gets mad because if the kids get in their wet bathing suit and stuff, so I just put the pillow underneath her so Mom wasn't complaining.
Let me go ahead and try to. She's making the eyes again. I can't help it, you guys. And it's because the pillow thing is weird to me. It's weird to me. Why wasn't Hunter on a pillow? Why didn't he have to sit on a pillow? He doesn't talk about sitting on a towel to make sure he doesn't get the seat wet. Apparently, Grandma doesn't like to get the seats wet, so they made her sit on a pillow. Although it looks like Summer's on or in another set of clothes at this point. This isn't what she swam in. The big deal about the pillow is that it's just weird that that it's being brought up or talked about at all. And it's like the fact that CANDUS would say that she had to sit on a pillow because she was wet from swimming. I don't, first of all, I don't see the pillow here. I think Hunter is the one who was talking about this pillow. But second, like I said, Hunter wasn't sitting on a pillow either. Did they have to share sitting on this pillow while they were shopping for the milk? And Summer and Hunter were watching TikToks on this pillow together to make sure they didn't get the seat wet, even though Summer was in this new set of clothing? I don't know. Oh, wait, you can hear the cops out there. Maybe they're on their way to 110 Ben Hill. I wish this case would be solved already. I'll be honest. It's one of those things I would happily move on from this case, although I would have to follow this case if it ever went to trial. We would be here for the long haul, of course. But it's like, there might be something to these crazy eyes. There might be something there. Let's listen to the next couple minutes of this and see if she makes these eyes again, and then we'll get back into the next part of the stream.
Got it. Okay. Good. So there is a time frame here between this trailer and that house within, you said 2 to 10 minutes maybe?
No, 2 to 5.
2 to 5.
2 to 5. Even though she's not good with time, I gotta pause it there. I can't do it. I can't do it with CANDUS. She's like, they're all terrible with time, yet he's like 2 to 10 minutes, and she's like, let me tell you, no. My name's CANDUS. It's 2 to 5 minutes. All right, get it right. All right. We like to tell time here and be very strict with our time here in Tennessee. It's like every other time she's like, I don't know, I'm not good with time. Did you guys see the interview with her by the water with Chris from the interview room? She's like, we don't do time here. Well, I don't know. It could have been 10 minutes. It could have been an hour. I don't buy it. Okay, quickly checking Twitter here a moment. Let's see. Okay, there's that. Let me see. Okay, so I know that there's also a few people reaching out to me about emails. I see your emails. Thank you, Alex, for reaching out to me. If you guys want to reach me, I do have an email. I don't give it out to everybody, but there's also a Google form sheet in the description of this video. If you go down to the description, you can submit a Google form, and it goes straight to me. That is essentially like emailing me. If you don't have a Twitter, that's the best way of reaching me. But yeah, okay, continuing on. Let's listen. So we caught CANDUS in this lie a moment ago, talking about how she doesn't like to go on walks, right? Even though we had just seen the transcript from the 911 call saying that she had went for a walk and came home. So let's go to that video where she talks about not going on walks, and let's listen to the rest of this interview, because this interview is important since this is the first interview that CANDUS publicly made after Summer's disappearance. Angela says, why do I feel like looking into Rose Bly may find answers to Summer? That's a good point. I think there could be something there, right? I think there could be a lot that there could be a lot of hidden things if we just look in areas maybe that we weren't thinking of initially. Okay, continuing.
I don't go on walks around here or runs because I'm scared of the bears and snakes.
Once again, this may be just coming through one of your speakers, so you may have to adjust your headphones if you can't hear it.
And even the coyotes that are around here. Well, whoever has my daughter, I pray and hope that they have not harmed her and they bring her back to us safe and sound.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful.
Stream 85 plus channel.
Love it. YouTube TV ad. Yes. I know. I have yet to get YouTube Premium. Here we are.
And go to the FBI, the police, and clear it up. And I don't know, it seems kind of elusive.
It's really strange that I've never seen this truck, and I've never heard of it until just recently. But I wish they would come forward and explain themselves. I mean, if you're not a suspect, at least come forward and say what you've seen. She was a tomboy. I shaved my head. She wanted to have her head shaved like me and the boys did.
She tried to shave her head
She tried
in
to
the
shave her
back
head
and make
herself.
it, I think you can see it in some of the pictures, and it was getting out of control. So we decided to shave her head off and let it grow back long, and she shaved her head so she wouldn't feel bad, and but it didn't bother her at this point.
So real quick, I know I keep pausing. I talked about this in a video several weeks ago now, where I did a specific video about the whole hair cutting thing, or at least it was in one of these specific videos. It was not a live stream. They just got caught in their own lie there, and that was them saying that Summer. Let's just listen to it again. It was about the hair, about her wanting to look like CANDUS and the boys by cutting her hair, right? They say that. But then Dawn says that CANDUS cut her hair so Summer wouldn't feel bad.
And I've never heard of it until just recently. Suspect
In the back.
Let's listen.
My head. She wanted to say what you've seen. She was a tomboy. I shaved my head. She wanted to have her head shaved like me and the boys did.
I shaved my head. She wanted to shave her. And at this point, anyways, she said, I shaved my head. She wanted, as in Summer, wanted to have her head shaved like me and the boys.
She tried to shave her head
She tried
in
to
the
shave her
back
head
and make
herself.
it, I think you can see it in some of the pictures, and it was getting out of control. So we decided to shave her head off and let it grow back long, and
this is where he fumbles.
She shaved her head so she wouldn't feel bad.
He realized it in the middle of his sentence. He literally is like, she shaved. Oh, whoops. Didn't we just say that you already had your head shaved? It's like, once again, this isn't important for this overall thing, but it's just, once again, them getting caught in a ridiculous lie that isn't the point of any of this. I think I saw some comments saying, like, what's the point of this? And that's the thing. It's like, it has nothing to do with her going missing, but it just it drives the point home that they completely lie about everything.
And, but it didn't bother her at this point.
At this point.
Well, I knew right away that she was abducted. You know, I knew that right away, and that's what I told them from the beginning. But they have to go through their, I forget the word.
Investigation.
They have to do one step at a time, I guess. But
Dawn should work for them. Dawn should work for them. FBI, TBI, Hawkins County, because apparently he knew right away she was abducted. Nice. You knew right away, huh? How? I don't understand it. If we could,
I forget the word.
Investigation.
They have to do one step at a time, I guess. But
yes, and she may have had lice. I see your guys' comments. They look at their house. It wasn't the cleanest of houses, right? They probably had lice. It probably was one of those things where they just had to deal with it in that way. And so maybe they were caught up and they just didn't want to say that. We'll move on from that, right? But everything else, inexcusable.
I'm sorry that they had to spend so many man hours in these woods and everything. I've seen them limping and everything else, and I feel for them. But I just wish there was a way that neighbors could search neighbors' houses, and then if they're not willing, get a search warrant or something. But there's just no way you can search every single house, in the eastern United States or whatever. But I wish there was a way. Just thankful for the person or persons that's doing that, out of love, trying to get information and trying to get her found. We thank them from the bottom of our hearts.
It means a lot.
And we thank everybody who's trying so hard and praying so hard. And she's an awesome young lady, and we just want her back. But Yeah, there's always going to be haters, you know, and it's always going to be that way in this world, and we just want to focus on the good friends and Christian people that are trying to help us and praying for us and praying for Summer. And we thank them from the bottom of our hearts, and that's the kind of people we try to relate with and socialize with. So we don't know anything about, no red truck, or we hardly know many of our neighbors, because we just try to be around good people.
It feels like they're really trying to paint themselves in a certain way in some of these first interviews. And that's all I'm trying to say when I talk about this stuff is like, it's just weird. He's like, we really try to just be around good people. Also, KC says, Aaron, wait, feels sorry for the search team? Yeah, it's strange. I don't know. We're almost through this because I do want to open up the lines for a moment and hear from some of you. I saw an unpopular opinion about... It says, I personally don't think the parents had anything to do with Summer vanishing. I know, not a popular opinion. Hey, that's fine. I'd love to hear what your opinion is. If you want to call in later, you have every right to that opinion. I think it's one of those things where at the end of this, I could be wrong. Maybe they had technically nothing to do with it, but they had something to do with the total negligence that led to Summer either disappearing, wandering off, or being abducted, right? Because if someone actually came onto that property and took Summer Wells away from that property, and CANDUS and Grandma were on the property, Don was at work, the boys were inside, and those dogs didn't make a sound, it's like, how could that possibly happen, right? And so maybe that happened and they just don't know what happened to Summer, but I'm not buying it. It's hard for me to believe that.
And we do have good people in this area. We found out since this has all happened. We got some real good neighbors and good folks everywhere. But
the most important thing is to bring Summer home safe. I'm sorry that you feel this way about us, but we love our children with everything we have. We've never went without, thanks to Summer's daddy and my husband. He's always provided for us and has worked as much as he could and can and still is. And I'm sorry that you guys feel that way, but that's my baby, and nobody would ever treat her like that as long as I was around, ever.
She loves...
I wish that WJHL would have included the questions that they were asking, because it's like weird to not have the full context of the question when hearing their responses here. Cheryl says no emotion. Fading Facts, Sherfy Jr. Nevada Mav, Sherfy Jr. That is another person I would love to continue looking into a little bit. That's a suspicious one for sure. Angela says, wait, I thought Don said, quote, all the drug addict, hillbilly, child predators, etc. in that area. Yeah, I don't know what they're talking about. I think they're just kind of tiptoeing around their own words a little bit. There's something very specific at the end of this video that we have got to get to, because it blew my mind when I heard it again. And so let's keep listening, because there's one other thing we need to talk about, and then I'll open up the phone lines.
She loves to dance. She would always want me. She says, Daddy, hold my hand so I can twirl. And she would just like to twirl and twirl and twirl until my arm got tired, I put out there that one of Summer's favorite songs was Godzilla, and they say, and they're jumping all over me about past tense was, well, I'm sorry about that. It's just...
She also liked the song by New Breed. It was called House, My House. She sung that a lot of times when I play it on the TV. She loved to dance.
She liked to think of herself as a princess and, and all that, like all young girls.
Okay. Candace just absolutely staring into the abyss here. And we have to remember that back in, what was it, August of the previous year, October, she called in Don Wells for domestic dispute with Jose there. I think it was the Jose situation where she was saying, I'm fearing for my child's life. And like Don had a gun. Like, this is an incredibly broken family that I'm sure was barely holding it together just to do this interview. I think that as much as I talk about CANDUS possibly not being involved, but knowing more, I think she, and I'll continue to say this, I know for a fact that she is a victim as well in all of this to some extent. And that is because she is on the receiving end of Don's abuse. And do I think the abuse runs both ways from CANDUS towards Don as well? Probably. But like I've said in almost every one of my streams, to turn a shoulder against the fact that CANDUS is also a victim of abuse, that would be extremely naive of us to just assume that she's also not being manipulated in a lot of ways here. And so I don't know. But man, when you look at her, you just know there's more going on for sure. But yeah.
She loved to be that.
Also, in this little section of the video, listen to how many times they say she loved. And once again, we could get hung up on past tense versus present tense when talking about Summer. But it's strange.
Elsa and
I think she really loved to be in church because she felt a lot of love there. And I think
I'm going to skip forward, but she basically says, into one of the comments of the video, it says she was a tomboy. She loved Frozen. She loved Elsa. She really loved to be in church. She loved church. She loved everybody in that church. She loved Robin to death. She looked up to any woman that was professional. Summer was the boss of the family. She loved to play in the water, in the dirt. She loved to run. She also liked the song by New Breed called My House. She loved to dance. She loved to be outside. She was an outdoor person. And then we get to the quite possibly weirdest thing that Don says in this interview that I want to hit on again. And it's that she loved to be outside, and that was unfortunately her downfall. Let's listen to what Don says here. It's a little bit strange. Listen to how he says this. We're going to play this like 3 times over.
Or something, because she loved to be outside all the time. And that was her, unfortunately, her downfall. Because a lot of times the boys would be inside and we'd be like, "Where's Summer? Why'd you leave her out there alone? Go get Summer now." And that's happened over and over again.
She loved to be outside, and that was unfortunately her downfall. Sometimes and then he cuts himself off. He says, the boys would be inside, and we'd be like, "Where's Summer? Why'd you leave her outside alone?" So he's saying, he was about to say, sometimes we'd be inside, and then and they'd ask where Summer was at. They 100% were inside that house at times, not knowing where both Summer and the boys were. So they're not only using past tense here, but listen to the story again. Listen to how it plays out. He almost says we, as in CANDUS and Don, would be inside.
Because she loved to be outside all the time. And that was her, unfortunately, her downfall. Because a lot of times the boys would be inside and we'd...
Yikes. Sometimes the boys would be inside.
The boys would be inside and we'd be like, unfortunately, her downfall. Because a lot of times the boys would be inside and we'd be like, "Where's Summer? Why'd you leave her out there alone? Go get Summer now." And that's happened over and over again. And we'd come out and she would always be close by, but we was always coming up. She had to be outside. She was an outdoor person. And
she loved to be outside.
Yep. And I'm so afraid that she's locked away. She's such a loving heart and everything, and I'm afraid that she won't be able to, I'm locked away where she can't be.
He's now afraid that she's locked away, where on June This is June 28th, by the way. Yet on June 18th, he's saying that they believe in the resurrection and that that Summer is with Jesus now. It's like, it's strange, and it goes to the whole helicoptering parent thing. The something I want to reiterate is in Chris's the interview room's video, Chris from the interview room, this video here, at the 7-minute and 28-second mark, we can see CANDUS come outside and the door is open. Okay. They proceed to eventually, she's talking to him, the door is still open. They proceed to go back inside. As you can see right here, we're at the 12-minute and 49-second mark of this video. They go inside. I talked about this on a previous live stream. And Chris never shuts the door behind him, okay? And CANDUS, as you can see, is now walking into the kitchen. The door is still open to the house, okay? So it stayed open from the 7-minute and 20-second mark. They go inside. As we continue to scrub, obviously we know they come back outside, go back inside. You can see the door is open. She's talking about the handing Summer off to the boys, saying, boys, watch Summer. They go back inside right here. And once again, if you listen to this video, you can hear that they never shut the door. Chris comes in. CANDUS is already halfway into the kitchen at this point. They go down into the dungeon, or into the basement, sorry. And all the way until they go around the house. They show where Summer could have gone out the back door, all the way to the 21-minute and 44-second mark when they're back around at the cars. And you can see, and I showed it in a video, they walk by and you can see that the door is still open. If you look just closely enough behind CANDUS right there, it's hard to see. You have got to go watch yourself. You can see that there's a gap in the door when they walk by the house right there. And so that is the 21-minute and 44-second mark right there. You can see the door is still open. That means that while CANDUS had Chris over to their house doing the interview, they left the door open for 14 minutes and 17 seconds. That door was hardly ever probably closed, if I'm being honest. I'm just pointing out the fact that she was not a helicopter mom by any means. They did not have AC, so probably left the door open all the time. Tina, I agree. I mean, that could be the case. I'm not saying that that's like a wild thing that someone would do that if they didn't have AC. But what I'm saying is, if there was some creepy guy at your house, like they reported, apparently Dawn calls CANDUS while they're in the drive-thru at Walgreens and says, there's a creepy guy at the house. The boys are at the house, apparently. And I know there's rumors that the boys were with Dawn at work. But if the boys were actually at the house, you would think you'd rush back instead of getting, slushies at Sonic. And then B, you would think that if you got back to the property, you wouldn't leave the door open. So this just goes to show that there was some serious, some things that could have fallen through the cracks. We'll just say that for sure. I'm going to quickly open up the lines. We're going to keep the stream somewhat shorter tonight. We're going to take 2 or 3 calls. We're going to try to keep them around 5 minutes apiece. I'm going to read some of your guys' comments right now. But the biggest thing I wanted to point out tonight is that in the very beginning of this stream, we talked about Bianca from WJHL reporting that investigators say that there are 3 children that were present in Summer Wells' house when she reportedly walked out of the back door. And apparently she was reported walking off of the property. And not anywhere in the first 2 days of Summer Wells being missing was there a story about planting flowers and Summer going inside to play with her toys and then Summer just disappearing. And I think it's strange, and I know for a fact, or at least in my heart, I believe that Dawn and CANDUS, or one of them, specifically created this narrative. I believe it was probably Dawn, and now CANDUS has stuck to it this entire time. She eventually came out and started talking, and now that's what they're going with. And I think that Grandma coming out and poking holes in that timeline, in that narrative, is not good. And everything else that will continue to happen with this case is not going to play well in keeping that narrative going. So the lines are open. Feel free to. We have a caller already. All right.
Call from Margaret. To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
Hey, Margaret, how's it going? Can you hear me?
Call from Margaret. To accept, press 1.
Oh, I just was about to accept again. I'm sorry, Margaret. I hope you can call through again. Okay, well, sorry, Margaret. Try again. Feel free to call in, guys. The number's pinned up on the chat, 305-985-2690. I'm going to read some of your guys' comments. In the meantime, Cindy Newman says, they are dirty people and they didn't allow Dr. Phil inside except for the basement after weeks of cleaning. Alex, they should have studied the script at least. Amelia, CANDUS needs to talk to her other personalities and get their story straight. All right. Maybe this is Margaret again.
Call from Margaret.
Oh, it is.
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
Hey, Margaret, how's it going? Why is this not working?
Call from Margaret.
Hey,
to
is this
accept, press 1. To send a...
What? Why is this not working? Hey, Margaret, I don't know if you're still trying to call in. I don't know. I tried hitting 1 to accept your call. I'm not quite sure what's going on. All right, back to the chat. Margaret, keep calling if you're wanting to get through. Sorry about that. Aaron always looks nervous when taking calls. Cheryl, I'll be honest, I'm always a little bit nervous because you never know who's going to be calling in. So you always got to keep your finger on that button to hang up in the event that it's someone just not up to any good. You know what I'm saying? Victoria, Margaret. Kendra, thank you so much for becoming a level 1 supporter. Really appreciate that. Thank you, Kendra. All right, let's see who this is. I'm nervous.
Call from Amy.
Amy, but not the normal
to accept,
Amy.
Press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
Hey, Amy, how's it going?
Hi, how are you? Oh my God, I've never actually gotten through. I'm so excited.
Oh, nice. Thanks for calling.
Yeah. I just have a couple of quick things that I think of things, and I jot them down, like little random things that stick out to me. I was wondering if you ever thought the same thing.
Yeah, let's go.
So one of them is CANDUS was talking about puppies, having a lot of dogs around. She said people drop dogs off, and that's how she gets a lot of puppies under the porch. And I was wondering if she put an ad in with her number to get rid of these puppies, and maybe people were coming to the house looking for puppies, or she said people just drop dogs off all the time. And when the guy was there from the interview room or whatever, and she said that there was puppies there and then. She's like, oh yeah, we have puppies all the time. So I was thinking about that, and then I was also thinking about the whole thing with with Don. Was he at work or was he not? So if he was at work that day and he got there quick, so think about it. If she called him, something happened. Then she waited to call 911, did something. Don's on his way home, but they're waiting to call 911. She does something. Then she calls 911. By this time, he's already on his way home and almost there by the time they place the 911 phone call. She could have said something happened, you need to come home, and he's gonna don't call 911 yet. Then she does something. By the time she does something and calls 911, he's just pulling up as people are starting to search.
Yeah. I mean,
so that's what I thought of it.
Yeah, that's a possibility. I would love to know the exact, when she specifically called Don and if he was already on his way. Like, was he done with work? Was he on his way back? Because, yeah, you would think that obviously he says that he immediately rushed back. But it's like the thing, like what you just said.
That's
did
his story.
He say to like wait? Because yeah, that would say a lot. If
that would get the timeline back to normal. If he waited and she waited to call, that would the gap in the timeline would close. If he was rushing home and she was rushing to do something else, then they called.
So you're saying like
together.
If something happened to Summer like much earlier on than like 6 or something, because she called at 6:30. So
and then she called and said that like something happened. I don't know yet. Like hold on. And then he's like, I'm coming home. He starts driving. She goes and does something, and then she calls and like, oh yeah, we can't find her. And then he's getting there right as they are. So maybe she called and was like, we don't know what happened, but he was nervous. He started coming. The gap closes as he's coming, and they're kind of in cahoots, like on like when we're gonna call 911. Okay, let's call now, and then call. And he gets home at that time. There's no other way to explain it other than he wasn't that far away.
No, that I see what you're saying. Yeah, for sure, the possibility.
No one could ever really put it down of what happened, and we don't have the police. I'm sure know, but
and like the phone records, obviously.
How many places? How many times she called them, and what time it was, how long they spoke, and what it pinged off of.
Because they definitely could check her phone to see like when she called him.
Where it pinged, when he called. But and she could just say, "Oh, well, I call my husband all the time." We were just saying hello at that point, but we don't know what was really being said.
Exactly.
And that gave her the time to do what she had to do, and then. So I was worried about that, and then I was thinking about the dog thing. Was the only two things that I could think of.
Gotcha. Well, no, that's an interesting point with the dog thing too, because I mean, I think that there was more people that were coming by that house than they would let on, because it would it just wouldn't sound great. And so there for sure could be a situation like that.
Yeah, they let Jose come and live in their house. They didn't even know this man. He slept 10 feet from their children.
Yeah, and
you don't let a strange man in your house sleeping next to your kids if you have. I mean, I'm not saying if anybody does. I'm just saying I understand she needs the money, and I've heard people say I would do it, but I'm just saying. I would never let no strange man in my house. You know what I mean?
But I
think that was more like a flop house.
Yeah, exactly. And I think they would never say like what was truly going on in that house, because it just
they go to church and they are
that's the picture they want to paint for sure.
Yeah, well, that went downhill pretty quick because they couldn't hold up the image that they were saying. It was like very obvious very quickly.
That's true. Yeah, but no, those are both good points.
Yeah, it was really good to talk to you. I'm glad I actually got on. I love your show. I'm like obsessed with Google Earth now. I'm like looking. I'm like can't stop. Now I love it.
Well, that's awesome. Well, thank you very much. And
feel
free
to
call
Keep
back
up
in
the hard
soon.
work. You're doing great. I will.
Thanks
Thank you.
so much. All right, see ya.
Have a good night.
You too.
Bye.
Bye. That was a good call. Glad she was able to finally call in. Oh, we got another one already. Kathy Bennett, thank you so much for the super sticker. Kathy, you're amazing. Really appreciate that.
Call from
Adrian.
All right.
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
Thank you, Kathy. I appreciate you. Hey, Adrian, how's it going?
Hi, pretty good. How are you?
Doing well. Thanks for calling.
Okay. Well, this may have already been something that's well been stated, but, I was thinking with all the technology and apps and everything that you add on your phone, it always requires permissions. Like there's recordings or, you must give permission for, them to track your data. I'm wondering if anybody would know of any apps maybe that CANDUS or Dawn would have had on their phones that those companies could be contacted for their information. I mean, certainly that's something.
Yeah, I wonder because I know Snapchat's a big one.
Right.
With
And
location-based
like, you know,
stuff.
when people don't have phone services, they often use like Messenger for calling,
Uh-huh.
like Facebook Messenger.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I know a lot of times there's the different kind of GPS-enabled features on that have to be turned off.
Absolutely.
You know, they'll be like enabled when you get your device or when you download the app, and sometimes you have to manually go in there and be like, no, I don't want this to be like on when I'm offline. Yeah, so
Yep.
that's a good
It
point.
records contacts, it records voice.
I mean, I would think that law enforcement, when going through the phones, if they have seen some of those apps, would have already reached out to some of these companies to get data from them.
I'm wondering if
that's
she
the case.
deleted the phone, though, if she like scrubbed the phone, how far back they can go. Yeah, anyway, just my brain thinking of like, I wonder if anybody would know what apps she was using prior to that point.
Yeah, I don't know why I haven't thought about the apps as much with like, because I know she did TikToks and stuff, and I'm sure she was on like Facebook and stuff, but with the Delphi case, that's another case I've kind of been looking into a lot. They were talking about they're talking about the apps a lot with that one because that's, you know, they were communicating with different people through different apps.
Exactly.
I don't know why I haven't thought about that with this one as
I think
much.
that's what made my brain click with that, and just all the how annoying it is how you have to give permissions for every single thing you do, and then sometimes they'll still be on there. Some of those permissions will still be on the phone even after you've, you know, done away with the account.
That's a good point. I think, that I would hope that they're looking into that if they haven't already.
I would
Obviously,
hope so too.
Yeah.
That's why it's like it's worth just shouting about, just in case. If
No, that's a good point.
If it's any idea. Okay.
For
Well,
sure.
thank you. That was all I really had.
Oh well, thanks. Yeah, thanks for calling. Have a good
Okay,
night.
thank you.
Yeah. See
Yeah,
ya.
you too.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
A really good call. I mean, that's a good point. I haven't thought about that much in relation to CANDUS and Dawn, right? They've clearly got these apps. Even TikTok. I don't know if there's any sort of like location-based features within TikTok, but that was a really good comment there. I'm sure that they're looking into that, right? Like they've got to be looking into Candace's Snapchat if she has one, or Instagram, or whatever else she may have, and just to see. Crazy Linda, doesn't TBI have their phones? Yeah, I believe so. I was just looking at the carrier data. 1 second.
Call from
Emily Flotilla.
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
Hey, how's it going?
Going well. This is Emily Flotilla.
Oh, hey Emily, how's it going? Thanks for calling.
It's going great. I just have a couple of comments about, and I'm not seeing it in your chat so much, but I've seen it now and then occasionally, and it's really frustrating. As far as the video goes, and the TikTok video and the picture of the milk jugs, and there's theory out there that she actually went missing on the 14th rather than the 15th. People need to remember that inside all those videos and those photos are metadata that the FBI can pick apart, and they'll know the dates, they'll know the locations, they'll know the time. So I just wish people would put that one to rest, because if she had gone missing on the 14th and she lied and said she'd gone missing on the 15th with all those videos, believe you me, it would be an entirely different scenario. She'd be in jail for hampering an investigation. So I just wanted to get that out and try to quash at least one rumor out there, please.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. And I don't always see the comments because they sometimes will go by too quick. And so if there were a few of those comments today, I mean, I think I was hearing that as well. And so, I would hope that they would be able to squash that on their end as well. And I'm sure that they have looked into that video and, determined whether or not it was actually shot on the 14th or 15th. So.
Right. Yeah. When they just gave their last report, Sheriff Pruitt or Investigator Pruitt mentioned that. He said, we have looked at all the metadata, video surveillance, everything.
Yeah.
And as far as video surveillance goes, Walgreens, I've heard a report that was verified. They were there. I don't know that 100%. But I have stood at a counter inside a Walgreens, right where somebody was working at the window at the drive-through, and I could see that screen, and you could really see inside a vehicle well, more than just the front seat. I was really kind of
Like the security
amazed
camera
at how
footage?
good. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. When people go through the drive-through, the pharmacist at the window has a TV screen right in front of them, and it shows the inside of the car.
Right. Yeah, I think a lot of those, like, especially with banks and like situations like this with like medications, they've got to be able to have a really good visual reference on camera. So that would make sense that they'd be able to really see who was driving that car in security footage. Because yeah, if there's ever an issue with like someone taking someone's medication, they need to be able to go through and see who was going through that drive-through.
Right.
So that makes sense. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm sure they were able to verify that for sure. Yeah. That's it?
And I didn't really see much of that in your chat, but I just keep seeing it pop up now and then.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm wondering if she did. No, she didn't go missing on the 14th.
Yeah.
So,
I'm not buying that either. I think a lot of people are just trying to it's just at this point, there's so little happening that it's just like, what if this happened, you know? And people just go on these tangents, and they can be like, it can be unhelpful overall, because it's just like, well, they would know, like you said already, just based on the metadata on the phone. So, yeah,
right.
Good
so
point.
That's all I had. Thank you for taking my call, and
thanks for calling in.
Hope everybody's had a good Easter weekend and happy Passover week if you celebrate that. So
absolutely.
That's it.
Well, thanks for calling.
Ramadan, whatever. Thank you.
All
Bye-bye.
right. Cheers. See ya. These calls have all been very lovely tonight, and everyone's been keeping it nice and concise. I appreciate that. But everyone's making great points. Obviously, in this investigation, they're going to be able to determine certain things like the timeline based on Walgreens, Sonic, right? They probably have obtained security camera footage from Sonic to determine whether or not CANDUS was lying about even going to Sonic. And so the only thing they're not able to determine, likely, is what happened when they got home and 6:30 when CANDUS called the cops. That is not on camera. That is not recorded, right? And so that's what they're looking into now. EM, thank you so much. Member for 4 months, still here, supporting Aaron. EM, thank you for being here. Hopefully you're having a good evening. Thanks for popping by. Appreciate your support. Feel free to call in. I'll take a couple more quick calls for anyone who wants to call in. The number is 305-985-2690. It's pinned up above. Let's read a few comments. But yeah, I was going through the service because I know that they were talking about not getting much service in this area. So I was looking at the service for the three main carriers. All right.
Call from.
It's Margaret.
Oh.
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
Hey, Margaret. How's it going? Why is Margaret's not working?
Call from.
It's Margaret.
Why is I don't know if Margaret... Margaret, comment down below. Are you calling from another country or something? Could there be something that is causing our call not to work? I'm so sorry, Margaret. You have tried to call in 3 times now. I'm pressing 1 to connect us, but it just doesn't connect. Sorry about that. Feel free to keep trying. I wish it was working. All right. Let's see. I got to look into this Rose Bly situation and see what's going on. If it's just people trying to muddy the water. Amy says it's her phone. Also, Amy, I hope you're feeling better. I saw that you had a cold or you aren't feeling well. Because Amy, you're usually one of my first callers, so hope you're feeling better.
Call from.
Hi, Aaron. This is Margaret.
All
to
right.
accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
I pressed 1. Hey, Margaret. How's it going? Hello? Hello?
Call from.
Hi, Aaron. This is Margaret.
Hello?
To accept, press 1.
Hello? Okay, Margaret, I'm going to be honest. I don't think it's going to work. I'm going to reset the Google Voice, but I think it could be on your end. I apologize that that's not working. Angela says, come on, Margaret. Yeah, it must be on your end because I'm definitely doing my best to press 1. Thank you for the £5. Huda London Mental Health and Crime. TBI took their Canon cams with their fam pictures and both their TVs. Don said it. Red flag. The red flag car. Or sorry. That's going too fast. The chat's going too fast. 1 second. All right. TBI took their Canon camera with their family pictures and both their TVs. Don said it. The red car was seen on the 14th or 15th. CANDUS can edit pictures. Oh, yeah. I mean, definitely photos and stuff like that can be edited. The thing about the pictures, though, is that, and what the previous caller was saying, is that the metadata on the photos that's embedded within the photo, that can't be edited. Right. So if you're altering a photo, it's going to show you that altered version was created on whatever day the metadata is attached to it, if that makes sense. Like if I were to take a photo with my phone right now. Uh-oh. Is it Margaret? Oh, it just went away. All right, Margaret's still trying to call in, I think. Let me make sure it doesn't show like my location, but let me show this. So I just took a photo of my living room. You can see my blue light. Okay. Now, if I scroll up, you can see the metadata. Oh gosh, I freaked out thinking it showed my phone number. No, so Monday, April 18th, 2022. 8:41 p.m. The wide camera. It tells you on an iPhone like what camera lens I use, because I can usually, you can take a photo with like a certain lens. So if I use my wide lens, it'll say ultra wide camera. Also, Margaret is still trying to call in, and it keeps disconnecting on its own. Can I try calling Margaret from my end? I don't even know. Margaret, I apologize that this is happening. You must really have something to say. Let me try calling Margaret. All right, is this Margaret's number here? I'm going to try. I'm calling Margaret now. I think.
Your call has been forwarded to an automated voice messaging system. 4.
Ooh, don't want to give out the number. Well, I just tried calling Margaret and that didn't work out. Denied. It must be her phone or something. I like the ambient light. Thank you. We'll change the light. Alexa, turn the light green. It's green now. Okay. Thank you. All right. Well, the lines are still open if anyone wants to call in. I'm sorry to Margaret for not getting connected with you. Emily says law enforcement scrub their phones. Absolutely. This I don't think is Margaret. It's a different number.
Call from Girls Friday.
It's
to
Friday.
accept, press 1. To send.
Hey, Friday. How's it going?
Oh, good.
Thanks for calling.
I realize I'm on live, so I know it's a delay.
Oh, yeah. Just have to mute your end and catch up in a second.
Okay, no worries.
How's it going?
Actually good. I am frustrated just like everyone else. My brain feels like it's hitting the wall.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the dialogue, everything is just incredibly frustrating. I, from the beginning, have been taking notes. Notebooks went to spreadsheets, and I just can't keep track.
Yeah. Do you have kind of a running theory that you've been with this entire time, or that you kind of are sticking with, or has it been shifting throughout the whole case?
Well, I decided to discount all these extra people that have been involved in the conversation for the most part. I mean, I got little tidbits from this person and that person, but then when it exploded beyond CM's interviews, they got a little sketchy, hard to pick through,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
But
Yep,
obviously not
absolutely.
clear. But my theory is that both the parents know what happened.
Yeah.
My thought is also that maybe they had a meeting point down the road. Something happened on the property, and whether it happened at the swimming hole led to the property. And CANDUS, my brain is thinking that she brought her down the hill, met Dawn somewhere, and Dawn took Summer from there. That's my thought, but
Because
I may be
her
completely
scent
wrong.
does end at the end of the property there. I know that. But
your scent could linger for days.
Exactly.
You could have done that the day before,
I
or
was just
2
gonna
days
say,
before.
yeah.
There's no absolute.
Yeah, that could just be from playing with her brothers down there a day or two before, like you said. So that's where it's like the
Exactly.
scent thing is weird, because that doesn't necessarily mean that scent was from that day and that she absolutely was down there. And, because it's like a lot of people think, oh, well, she must have gotten to that point and then scooped up in a car or dropped off or handed off or whatever. And it's like, not necessarily. So it's just...
Well,
it's
and
tough.
my other thought is that she seems to be a very wiry, full of energy kind of a child to actually have full run of the whole property. I could see her doing that too.
Yeah.
I could see her running about everywhere and anywhere, and people are like, oh yeah, okay, go play, and not really, like you said, helicopter parenting. Say, oh yeah, as long as you're around here, you're fine. You know.
Oh yeah, I mean,
I've done that with my own within a yard, but my yard
Right.
isn't that big.
Yeah, so like yeah, I agree. I think that they were probably pretty much free to run around that property without them kind of always monitoring them. And I don't necessarily think that's a terrible thing. I think it kind of seems like a dangerous property to some extent with how steep of a drop off it is. But I mean,
Oh, absolutely.
I think to an extent, I think people in those areas and in those parts of the country, like, they feel relatively safe enough to let their kids run around their property. So it's like, it's also not the craziest thing.
I would find it as something not uncommon
Yeah, exactly.
to let their kids. Like, I live in the city, it would be very uncommon to see kids running around.
Yeah.
But when we're out. I have family that live out in the country, and when they're running around all over the place.
Right.
We got, whether it's animals or, just adventures. Kids like to adventure. So anyway, that's where I'm going to leave you at.
Yeah. Well, no, I appreciate that. And yeah, thanks for calling in.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Yeah, you as well. Thanks. Another good call. Thanks everyone for calling in and just kind of giving their opinions and just kind of... No, I'm not saying I don't want people to talk for more than 5 minutes, but these are all just like, everyone has had something really good to say. And it brings up the whole point from last stream where I talked about this being like less than a mile from the Wells household. This is an example of that. This right here is 2 children playing outside with not a parent in sight. Okay. And I'm not saying necessarily that that's a bad thing and that whoever is inside this house is a bad parent. I think that it's just pretty much normal for this area for kids to be able to go outside and play, right? This highway would scare me as a parent, but it's one of those things.
Call from
Cindy.
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
Hey, Cindy, how's it going? Cindy?
Call from
Cindy.
Oh no. Cindy's phone is doing the same thing as Margaret's phone. All right. Well, I I will probably end it there unless someone calls in the next like 30 seconds. We're gonna cut the lines. I'm gonna unpin the message. Thank you, Alexa, for not that Alexa. Thank you for pinning that, Alex. Sasha says, it's so wonderful to be in chat without drama. Yes, and I think one of the previous callers that was just saying, I really appreciated what she said there, is she's kind of discounted a lot of the drama and the people that have kind of attached themselves to this story. And I think I agree with that. I think to an extent I was looking into, I know for a little while there, I had done a live stream on the Benny situation, right? Where it was like I couldn't avoid Benny because he was having these conversations with CANDUS. And it's like, that's someone that's specific. I mean, it's CANDUS, it's the person, right? And so it's almost like you can't not at least look into that. But I agree, and I think I understand what that person's talking about kind of avoiding some of the drama. Amelia says, who presses 1, Aaron or the caller? I press 1. So it says to answer the phone, press 1, and then I press 1. But we will have another stream soon. I'm in hold. I think it's Google. Oh, I ended the Google thing now, so I'm sure it's just saying you're in hold. So it's delayed right now. But I am leaving town on Thursday. I'm going to North Carolina on Thursday. So if anyone has any good recommendations for places to go in or around Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill, that area, let me know. But in the meantime, I will at least be streaming on Wednesday. Okay, so for those of you who are enjoying the streams, the drama-free streams, as a lot of you are talking about, Kathy, yes, no drama. Stick around, hit the subscribe button. We've had a few people hit subscribe, which is really cool. We're getting close to 23,200. We will be streaming Wednesday, and then possibly even tomorrow. If I don't stream tomorrow, I might make a video to come out maybe while I'm away. Or we may just go live tomorrow as well as Wednesday. So there may be 3 streams in a row. So I can guarantee a stream on Wednesday, but maybe tomorrow as well. Junebug says, go to Chapel Hills University. It's very nice. Okay. I'll read a few comments as we're wrapping up the stream here. Also, feel free to hit that like button on your way out if you're still here before you leave. It would be much appreciated. Cheryl says Aaron doesn't have trolls. I'll be honest, I have a few trolls. There's a few trolls that come up, but I just do not have time for trolls. That's not what I'm doing this YouTube stuff for. Beautiful wife is cutting an onion? No, eating an apple. I was like, what are you doing with an onion right now? You can make noise. She's like literally like, it's going to be okay. The stream is almost over. You can make noise, beautiful wife. My cousin's house, tell them I sent you. I did an internship at the UNC Chapel Hill. Best experience ever. Nice, Junebug. Jen, oh my God. Oh yes, I live right near Chapel Hill. Oh, nice. Very nice. Go to the top of the hill in Chapel Hill. I mean, I'm going to have to. I'm going to go to the top of the hill for sure. Who to London Mental Health and Crime? I hit the like. Thank you. UNC, how long was it from the time they got home until 6:30? 911 call. Can somebody remind me of that time? Amy Berg. The problem with that timeline is that a lot of people do not believe when CANDUS got home. However, I believe that she got home close to 4 o'clock. So there'd be like 2.5 hours. It'd be like 3:30-ish, 3:40-ish when she got home. And then she called 911 at 6:30. And I could be kind of wrong on that. But I think it's somewhere around that as far as the timeline. Whoop whoop, North Carolina. Colin, how's it going, Colin? Alex, yes, I'll let you know. I will definitely let you know if I go live tomorrow. But Alex, I'll for sure be going live Wednesday night. So that I do not need to remind you of. But tomorrow I'll let you know. Ty, okay. Wait, Chapel Hill sausage? Victoria? Oh, Darla. Also, by the way, shout out to the tier 2 people. We got to shout them out at the end again. Darla, you're on the list now. Speaking of you, awesome job, Aaron and mods. Yeah, thanks to the mods. Thanks to everyone who is in here chatting, enjoying their evening. Angela says, "Hi, Dr. Beautiful Wife," as she cuts her apple. Rana Jane Bullard says, Rona, is there anyone looking for summer every single day? I'm not sure. My big thing now is, like, do you think they're going to even talk about the next time they do a search? Because it's very clear that Sheriff Ronnie Lawson is not wanting the public to be involved in any sort of search. So it's not like they would ask the public to be... Bless you. Usually she sneezes twice in a row. Are you going to sneeze again? So it makes me wonder if Sheriff Lawson and the TBI and everyone else, Hawkins County, would even let the public know that they're searching for summer. So, there could be some sort of small scale searches happening that we just don't know about right now. It's just hard to say. Also, Victoria, yeah, I'll have to check out this Chapel Hill sausage place. Hard to say because she's lying about the time and her inability to know time. Yeah, that's a good point, Angela. Bless you. Everyone's saying bless you now. Very delayed bless yous in the chat right now. Sasha says bless you. Crazy Prepper Linda says bless you. Alex, Tina, Ty. What? So nice. That's right. I have 4 minutes till we hit an hour or 2 hours, so I'm just kind of, not that I have to hit the 2 hour mark, but I also just enjoy chatting with you all. So another good live. Thank you for stopping by. We had almost like 700 people in here at one point, so thanks to the people who stopped by. Thanks for hitting that like button. Like I said, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. You will get notified or possibly notified. That's the thing about subscribing, is like you don't even get notified every time that I go live, but stay on the lookout for when I go live next. Like I said, either tomorrow and Tuesday and Wednesday, or just Wednesday. So we'll have to see, but for sure Wednesday, be on the lookout. We'll go live again. Cindy Newman, thank you for the super sticker. Tired, I think is what that says. Is that a coffee? Really appreciate that, Cindy. Cheryl, what's on the agenda Wednesday? Possibly more Summer Wells stuff, but also possibly Delphi. We might go into some Delphi stuff. We'll just have to see. Slow mode wouldn't let me say bless you. Yeah, sorry, the slow mode has to be on sometimes. I can't anticipate. I should have turned it down a little bit. I think it was on 30 seconds. So multiple sneezes is a sign of superior immune system. That's hilarious. Crazy. Thank you for your drama-free discussion. It's very rare and very appreciated. Yeah, thank you so much. And thank you for contributing to the discussion. You guys all, for the most part, everyone in here is just always like contributing in a really positive way. So thanks so much. All right, that's it. I'm going to go. Victoria's like peacing out. Go enjoy your evening. Enjoy your guys' evening as well. Stay on the lookout. We'll see you guys, if not tomorrow for another stream. We'll see you guys Wednesday. Have a good rest of your Monday evening. And Summer Wells has been missing for 306 days. Let's just hope that it doesn't go another 306. And let's hope that we have some sort of resolution soon. So thanks so much. We'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.